My sister slept with my husband, and my mom knew. All along. Some betrayals don't come from strangers or enemies. They come from the people who kiss your cheeks and call you family. My name is Leela, and I'm 33 years old. I married Ryan, who's 35 now, 8 years ago. We weren't a whirlwind romance suite. We're a slow burn. We met in high school, but didn't date back then. We reconnected in our mid-20s at a friend's barbecue, and something just clicked. Ryan was calm, dependable, and deeply respectful. He wasn't flashy or overly emotional, but he made me feel safe. After 2 years of dating, we moved in together. And a year after that, we got married. Our marriage wasn't perfect, but it was stable. Ryan had a job in logistics that kept him working long hours, and I worked in marketing from home. We made it work date nights when we could, family trips, every few months, and we always spent holidays together with our families. On the surface, we looked like the couple who had it figured out. My younger sister, Tara, is 4 years younger than me, 29, single, and always the center of attention. She was the fun sibling growing up louder, prettier by conventional standards, and far more social. Where I was quiet and academic, Tara was wild and impulsive. She never stayed at a job for more than a year and dated men who were either emotionally unavailable or just outright bad news. But she had charm. People fell for her quickly, especially my mother. My mother, Doreen, is a woman who knows how to keep up appearances. She's always been critical, but not in an obvious way, more of a backhanded compliment type. She always favored Tara. When I got straight A's, she told me not to show off because Tara was doing her best. When I got promoted at work, she made it about how Tara was finding herself and needed time. The imbalance was subtle, but ever present. Still, I kept trying. I attended every family dinner, showed up to Tara's birthday parties, and even helped her move back in with Mum when her last relationship fell apart. About a year before everything happened, Tara started visiting more often. At first it was just dinners and movie nights. Then she'd drop by unannounced, saying she was in the neighborhood. She started sleeping over occasionally when Mum got on her nerves. Ryan never complained. He always said it was nice to have family around, and Tara, she was her usual self, teasing Ryan, lounging around in leggings and oversized sweatshirts, always grabbing the last slice of pizza and making jokes about how I was the boring wife now. I didn't think much of it. I had no reason to. These were my people, my husband, my sister, my mother. I thought I was building a life surrounded by those I trusted most. What I didn't realize then was that the betrayal wasn't sudden. It had been unfolding right in front of me, slowly and deliberately, wrapped in smiles, small talk, and the illusion of family. And I had no idea how deep it really went. It all started with a photo I wasn't supposed to see. I was organizing files on our shared desktop, clearing out space, sorting old photos to make a digital scrapbook for our anniversary. Ryan had uploaded several folders from his phone, and I clicked through out of habit. One folder stood out. It was titled Extras, Do Not Move. That alone caught my attention. I opened it, expecting maybe duplicates or outtakes. What I found were 37 photos, mostly candid, and all taken in our house. But they weren't of me. Tara was in nearly all of them. Some were innocent enough, her laughing in the kitchen, lounging on our couch, but others felt strange. One showed her wearing one of my old sweatshirts, something I hadn't seen in months, curled up with a wine glass in hand. Another photo showed her sitting on Ryan's lap, taken from the side. His face wasn't visible, but I knew his hands. I knew the tattoo on his wrist. I stared at the screen, heart pounding in a slow, cold rhythm. My first instinct was to rationalize it. Maybe they were joking around. Maybe it was just bad angles or timing. But the pit in my stomach told me otherwise. I asked Ryan about it that night. What's with the folder named Extras? Why is Tara sitting on your lap? He didn't flinch. He didn't panic. That, somehow, made it worse. It was just a dumb moment, he said, brushing it off. She was tipsy. I didn't want to embarrass her. It meant nothing. He looked me in the eye when he said it, and I wanted to believe him. I really did. But belief without proof is just denial. So I dug deeper. We had an old security camera in the guest room installed a year earlier after someone tried to break into our shed. I'd mostly forgotten about it, but it was still connected to our network. By default, it only kept footage for 2 weeks, but I checked anyway. By sheer luck or maybe fate, there were 3 short clips still stored on the cloud. One showed Tara alone in the guest room, adjusting her hair in the mirror, wearing a robe I hadn't seen since last winter, my robe. Another showed Ryan entering the room. They talked, laughed. She touched his arm. Then she leaned in and kissed him. No hesitation, no awkwardness, just a practiced, familiar motion. I didn't react. I didn't scream. I watched it twice, then sat in silence for hours. I could still hear them laughing from the clip. I could still see my robe. The next morning, I drove to my mother's house. I asked a single question. Did you know about Tara and Ryan? She looked at me for a beat too long, then sipped her coffee and said, Leela, you always expect too much from people. And that's when I knew not only had I been betrayed, but the betrayal had an audience. I didn't want to believe what I saw, but denial only lasted about 5 seconds. The second time I watched that clip of my husband kissing my sister in our guest room, something inside me cracked. I dropped the mouse, backed away from the desk, and sat on the floor like my legs had given out. And then I cried. Not a graceful, cinematic tear down the cheek. I cried like a woman who had the ground ripped out from beneath her. Guttural sobs, hands shaking, breath hitching. I clutched my sweatshirt like it could hold me together. I don't know how long I stayed like that, but by the time I got up, it was dark outside and my throat felt raw. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the intimacy, the ease, the way she smiled at him like she had every right to, the way he let her, and the fact that they did it in my house, wearing my clothes, under a roof I worked to pay for that broke me. The next morning, my eyes were swollen, but I had clarity. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to scream at anyone. I had cried enough for all of them. Now, I was going to end it, cleanly. I backed up every photo and video, printed copies of the most incriminating ones, and put them in a folder, labeled closure. I booked an appointment with a divorce attorney. I took a day off work and emailed HR to separate our health plans. I started looking for short-term leases, but before I left, I needed them to see what they had done, not just to me, but to each other. So I staged a final dinner. I texted Ryan, Tara, and my mum and said I wanted a family night to reconnect. I kept it light, casual, no suspicion. Ryan even texted back, glad we're getting back to normal. I laughed at that for a long time. I cooked Ryan's favorite meal. I set the table for 4, dimmed the lights, and played soft music. If they noticed the puffiness around my eyes, no one said anything. Dinner started off polite. Tara talked about a new job she might start. Ryan complained about work. Mum praised the food. Then, halfway through, I excused myself, brought out my laptop, and placed it in the center of the table. I opened the folder and hit play. No words, just the footage, the kiss, the robe, the slow betrayal. When it ended, I looked at them. Ryan looked at the wall. Tara looked at her lap. My mother had the audacity to sip her wine. How long? I asked. Ryan said, 6 months. Tara whispered, it was a mistake. My mother said nothing. I stood up. I cried for you, all of you. But I'm done now. Then I left the house, my folder under one arm and my dignity intact. In the days that followed, the silence was louder than any apology they could have offered. I stayed in a hotel for the first week. I needed distance from the house, from their faces, from the version of myself that had accepted so little for so long. I turned my phone off for the first 48 hours. When I turned it back on, I had over 50 messages, none of them from my mother. Ryan texted first, can we talk? I messed up, but I still love you. Then, Tara meant nothing. Please don't throw everything away. And later, I'm sorry. I'll do anything, please. I didn't respond. Tara sent one long message. It started with, I never meant for this to happen, and ended with, I hope someday you can forgive me. You're my sister. She followed it with a string of I'm sorry texts, voicemails, and even a photo of us from a family vacation, with please remember this written beneath it. I didn't answer her either, but my mother, not a word, not one text, not one call. She went full radio silence, like it was all beneath her. Like I was the problem for exposing it, not them for doing it. I told my dad he and my mom have been divorced for years. He was shocked, but not surprised. He said, "Your mom's always had a talent for justifying the worst in people she likes." He offered to let me stay at his place while I got back on my feet. I accepted. Ryan didn't take the silence well. He showed up at the hotel once. I didn't open the door. Then he showed up at my dad's place, and my father handled that conversation. For me, from what I heard, it was brief and very clear. After that, Ryan backed off. I filed for divorce a week later. He tried to contest the separation of us and claimed I was being emotional and unreasonable. But I had the folder, the footage, the receipts. My lawyer made it clear, if he pushed too hard, the evidence would become public record. That shut him up. Tara tried calling me from a different number about a month later. She said she was going to therapy, that what happened was a self-destructive spiral, that she'd lost her best friend me. I listened to the voicemail once. Then I deleted it. As for my mother, I saw her once more. It was at my cousin's baby shower. She walked in like nothing had happened, greeted people with air kisses, and didn't even make eye contact with me. I stared at her, waiting to see if guilt would register. Nothing, so I left early. Word spread through the extended family slowly. A few relatives reached out to say they were sorry. Things ended badly, but no one really took sides. That was fine. I wasn't asking them to, because I had finally taken mine. It's been 11 months since I walked out of that house. People like to talk about healing like it's a straight line, like once you make the strong decision, everything gets easier. It doesn't. The first few weeks were brutal. The silence at night felt like punishment. I'd wake up expecting Ryan next to me, then remember why I was alone. Some mornings I cried before I even got out of bed, but slowly the silence became peace. I started over in a small one-bedroom apartment with plain white walls and floors that creaked. It didn't have much, but it was mine. I bought new sheets, new dishes, even new pajamas because the old ones held ghosts I didn't want to carry anymore. I deleted every photo of Ryan and Tara from my phone. I blocked them on everything. I told my lawyer to handle any further communication directly, and I started therapy again this time. Not to fix the relationship or suppress the grief, but to unpack why I had ignored so many signs. Why I had accepted crumbs from people I loved, thinking they were meals. I realized something important. I was never angry because they didn't love me. I was angry because they still chose to betray me anyway. Love, it turns out, doesn't prevent cruelty. Sometimes, it just makes it easier to excuse. The divorce was finalized in February. I kept the car, most of the furniture, and our joint savings. Ryan didn't fight it. I think, deep down, he knew he didn't deserve even the dignity of negotiation. Tara moved in with my mother after that. I heard through a mutual cousin that the two of them still act like nothing really happened. My mother even hosted Easter brunch like it was just another year. They live in a world where consequences are optional. I don't, and I don't want to. I don't miss Ryan. That surprised me. I miss the version of him I thought I had, the man who laughed at my bad jokes, who held my hand in the car, who made grocery runs with me on Sunday mornings. But the real Ryan, the one who betrayed me with my sister, the one who didn't even fight to explain himself, no, I don't miss him. As for Tara, I mourned the loss of a sister, but now I see her for what she is, someone who needs to be admired, more than she needs to be trusted. I've stopped wishing she would change. I just wish she'd stay away. Most importantly, I've stopped trying to fix people who break me now. I write, I work, I travel, I breathe, and when people ask why I'm single, I smile, because being alone isn't the worst thing. Trusting the wrong people is